the headlines at this hour, preparations made for Amnesty to mark National Day. ASEAN Economic Community to be established. And Gukpung National Park receives 71 rare turtles. Hello, and you're watching VTV News live from Hanoi for the latest updates on Vietnam. My name is Linh Huong. Yesterday marks the 68th anniversary of the August Revolution, which took place on August the 19th in 1945. The event shaped Vietnamese history with its advocacy of freedom, independence, self-reliance, creativity, solidarity, and unanimity between the party and people. On that historic day, nearly 30,000 people in Hanoi and surrounding provinces flocked to Hanoi Opera House. The ongoing renewal process brought about by the revolution has created a firm foundation for Vietnam to speed up industrialization and modernization. However, there is still much that needs to be done to ensure the quality of economic growth and to increase the productivity and efficiency as well as competitive capacity of the national economy. The Central Council for Amnesty Consultation, led by Prime Minister Nguyen Xuân Phúc, President of the Council, on Monday started reviewing amnesty profiles for the next act of amnesty on Vietnam's National Day. This year, over 15,000 convicts are under consideration for amnesty.
Addressing the session, Deputy Prime Minister Nguyen Xuân Phúc said, since 2009, the Vietnamese government has granted amnesty to over 48,000 prisoners. In the past years, amnesty has contributed a large part to the success of the National Crime Prevention Program and is widely accepted by the public. The Deputy Prime Minister stressed that the amnesty policy shows the government's leniency towards convicts who show good rehabilitation while captive.
The act of amnesty reflects the benevolent nature of the government and also the humanitarian tradition of Vietnamese people. Moreover, the amnesty policy encourages prisoners to improve themselves through study, training, and good rehabilitation. By becoming better people, they can be allowed to return home to their families, reintegrate into the society, and have a good life.
According to the President's decision on amnesty this year, there are currently over 15,000 prisoners in Vietnam who will be considered for amnesty on the occasion of National Day on September the 2nd. Deputy Prime Minister Phúc ordered the Council members to carry out the reviewing process early in a transparent and careful manner. He also stressed the importance of the post-amnesty work to help relieve ex-convicts of their guilt and continue supervising, training and creating jobs for them, giving these ex-convicts a chance to return to a normal life.
A seminar to summarize the defining of Vietnam-Laos border markers took place on Monday morning in Cơ Lo Town, Nghệ An Province. Since 2008, the governments of the two countries unanimously agreed to improve the quantity of border markers, restore and build anew the existing markers so as to make the borderline clearer while completing legal documents on the Vietnam-Laos borderline. A total of 792 marker positions, equivalent to 826 border markers, have been put into place, underlining the good political, economic, and social ties between the two countries. Now, the 45th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting officially opened on Monday in Brunei's capital city, Bandar Seri Begawan. The meeting's focus is to discuss solutions to complete the establishment of an ASEAN Economic Community by 2015. Our VTV correspondent in Brunei reports for the meeting.
The main topic for discussion at the 45th AEMM that took place on Monday afternoon was the implementation progress of the ASEAN Economic Community. At the meeting, the ministers reaffirmed their determination to establish the community by 2015. According to the latest data released at the AEMM, up until this July, 79.4% of all solutions and initiatives have been put into action.
Vietnam is one of 4 countries who have implemented more solutions than the average. We now stand at 84.8%, and we still have 2.5 years to carry out the remaining task. These unfinished jobs, however, are very challenging.
One of the biggest hindrances against the success of the ASEAN economic community is the development gap between its member nations. The ministers all stressed the importance of reducing the gap between the less developed nations, including Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, and the rest of the association. Earlier on Monday morning, the ASEAN ministers also held joint meetings with the ASEAN Free Trade Area Council and the ASEAN Investment Area Council. Discussions were held on the topics of non-tariff barriers to trade, signing certificates of origin, and others, all aiming to boost free trade among ASEAN nations. Many opportunities as well as challenges lie ahead on the road to establishing an economic community by 2015. But through the AEMM, the member nations of ASEAN showed their unity and determination to achieve this goal.
A delegation of senior business executives based in Hong Kong are on a visit to Hanoi to learn about the implication of Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, or TPP, for U.S.-Vietnam trade and investment. VTV spoke with delegation head Dr. Richard Vriesdak, president of AmCham Hong Kong, to learn more about the trip and other issues related to the TPP. Thank you very much for this interview. Now, during this visit of your delegation to Vietnam, what were some of the main discussions during your meetings with senior officers as well as local businesses regarding the TPP agreements?
Well, our top message is very clear. We see TPP as being a great advantage, great opportunity for Vietnam to be integrated into supply chain, sorts of things that we're interested in our group. And we're strongly encouraging all people we meet with to take the negotiations very seriously, get it done, and work with the compliance afterwards and certifications so that Vietnam can have a much better level of economic development.
TPP agreement also aims at simpler procedures and support policies to attract investment among TPP countries. So what are some of the fields or sectors that U.S. companies hope to invest in Vietnam once a TPP is finalized?
Well, this group that we're with here in Vietnam now represent apparel and footwear. So we see great opportunities for expansion of both ready-made garments as well as footwear in Vietnam, especially given the relocation of a lot of manufacturing out of China. So that Vietnam looks like a very good place to relocate or expand existing operations. I think there will be certainly an infrastructure development, which is really essential, frankly, for the kinds of operations that apparel and footwear need. So we know that roads, ports, water, power are absolutely essential developments in the infrastructure for more manufacturing and moving to Vietnam.
What do you think Vietnam should be focusing on right now in order to increase its competitiveness and attract investment ahead of the possible TPP final signing by the end of this year?
Well, take it very seriously, the negotiations very seriously, knowing that no one country wins everything or no they lose everything. There has to be compromise and so forth in the negotiations, but we see the inclusion of Vietnam in the TPP as really good for Vietnam and good for the region. I think the best thing to remember is that countries are in competition now these days. You know, made in Vietnam, made in Bangladesh, made in Malaysia. These people are looking at worker safety, supply chain sophistication, how well government agencies work together across ministries and agencies to attract foreign direct investment in very smooth and efficient ways. So there's a hard infrastructure issues, water, power, and so forth. But there's also soft infrastructure of how efficient the government really works. And I think the TPP negotiations address both areas to help bring greater strength, potential strength, and attractiveness of Vietnam to foreign direct investment.
Thank you very much for your time. Now, Phu Quoc fish sauce has officially earned Protected Designation of Origin, or PDO certification from the European Union. Representatives of the Directorate General for Agriculture and Rural Development of the European Commission presented the certificate to Vietnamese representatives at their meeting in Brussels, Belgium, from July the 14th to the 16th. A ceremony for this event was held on Monday in the hometown of the product. Phu Quoc fish sauce was granted its EU designation of origin certification in late October of last year after nearly 4 years maintaining stringent food hygiene and safety requirements. The recognition will raise the product's prestige, prevent the proliferation counterfeits sold in the EU market, and spotlight its domestic and foreign profile. At the meeting, delegates examined ways to strengthen trade promotion and cooperation between Vietnam and the EU. Coming up next, Cúc Phương National Park receives 71 rare turtles. And Vietnamese overseas in Ukraine celebrates Mulan Festival.
Exotic Vietnam is an intriguing blend of many charms. This land is where all manner of stunning landscapes await like a visual feast, rivaled only by the beauty of its people and their abundantly rich tradition and culture. Here is where you can relive the past in richest color or live it up in the bright lights of the big city. With so much more to offer, Vietnam is simply unforgettable.
Welcome back to VTV News. Cúc Phương National Park in Ninh Bình Province on Monday received 71 Vietnamese pond turtles from the Rotterdam Zoo in the Netherlands and Münster Zoo in Germany. This is the first time these turtles have been successfully hatched and raised abroad and returned to Vietnam. According to the Education for Nature Vietnam, Vietnamese pond turtles are an endemic freshwater turtle species in the country and are included on the list of critically endangered wildlife. The numbers in the wild are rapidly declining due to poaching, illegal trade, and loss of habitat. The 71 turtles will be taken care of and then released to the wild in Quảng Ngãi province. Welcome to this week's edition of Vietnam in Close-Up. Forest protection is no longer a macro issue that only involves adult participants. Priority has shifted from adults fixing the damage they have caused to providing early education for kids as part of a more sustainable future. Together with various child-oriented projects conducted worldwide, nearly 20 overseas Vietnamese students in England and the U.S. have organized a rainforest education program in their homeland, Vietnam. Lan Anh has the story.
Being ranked the 16th in the world chart of biological diversity, Vietnam possesses a particularly high level of 16% of the world's species. The country's rainforests are home to many rare and precious animals and plants. Yet, do these forests continue to yield new species and combined with exotic wildlife?
Along with increased population, climate change, and humans' illegal practices, rainforests have shrunk in both acreage and quality, and species extinction is occurring at a faster rate than ever before in the Earth's history. As future leaders, how children and young adults can get their heads around this vast subject? A project called Rung Oi has recently been carried out by a group of overseas Vietnamese students, proposes one sustainable solution.
The 2-month Rung Oi or O First projects, which started on June the 15th until early this month, saw the participation of more than 500 students from secondary schools and universities. Sponsored by international non-profits organizations like Fund for Peace Project Davis or Center for Development of Community Initiative and Environment. The project aimed at bringing Vietnamese students a more realistic view and enhancing their understanding of the forest's significance and its needs for protection.
The idea for the project came from our trip to Costa Rica, where we visited various rainforests and broadened our knowledge of forest resources and the need for their protection. We thought of Vietnam, where forests cover a large area, yet have not been properly protected. So we decided to organize a similar project here.
The project was divided into 3 phases: application screening, classroom training, and field trips. Classroom training, which lasted for 1 month, was conducted in 4 major secondary schools in Hanoi. Selected students studied individually for the whole week, then gathered at weekends to debate controversial forest-related issues in groups, under the instruction of renowned guest speakers in the field.
I'm very happy to see how children are so creative and eager to learn about forest protection. I highly appreciate what the organizers have done. They have acquired knowledge from overseas and then come back home to spread the word to others. The program is very useful and practical.
100 outstanding students from the second phase were chosen to be a part of 2 field trips to Cup Phương National Park. The project's practicality is also one of the major reasons why sponsors believed in its success.
I think it's fantastic. I think there's too many situations where you learn about something but you don't have the opportunity to go and actually study it firsthand and to see the effects firsthand. So I think that's a wonderful idea. I think it's going to work out really well and I'm excited to join the trip.
Field trips to Cup Phương National Park were the most exciting part of the projects for all students, as they had chances to stay in forest, talk to rangers, and visit wildlife animal and vegetable preservation centers.
I had 3 months of summer vacation in Vietnam that I don't want to waste. Plus, I always felt that my knowledge of the environment and natural resources is limited. That's why I applied for this project, and this has been one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had.
Not just passively receiving the knowledge. After the trips, students wrote reflections on their experiences, presented what they had learned, and competed in challenges. Changes in their awareness can be clearly seen day by day, and forest protection has now become something very real in their daily lives.
I've learned so much from this project. From now on, if anyone I know hunts and eats wild animal, I won't just stay silent. I will stand up and tell them to stop. Prior to this project, I thought forest protection had nothing to do with a student like me, living in Hanoi. However, now I have realized that young people should take a more active role in the process. As a senior economics major student, I'm planning on starting up a small business on ecotourism after graduation.
Opening a sustainability-oriented tourism business, organizing rainforest education programs, or simply telling everyone around to plant more trees. What the children are doing or hope to do in the future all contribute a vital part in making our world a greener and better place to live. Lanai, Vietnam Television.
Now, dealing with waste from agricultural activities which cause environmental pollution is a thorny question for many areas in Vietnam. Applying science and technology to recycle agricultural waste and turn it into a useful source of material for other activities is now a trend. The following report in Quang Dien District, Thừa Thiên Huế Province tells you more.
More than 70% of households in Quang Dien District, Thừa Thiên Huế Province practice farming. Usually, after harvesting, the farmers have burned straw or throw it onto the river. This causes pollution to the air and water, and it affects the habitat of many aquatic creatures as well as the productivity of surrounding farming ponds. The situation has now changed for the better since the local Department of Science and Technology showed farmers how to use straw for mushroom growing. This model has proved its effectiveness in terms of economics and environmental protection.
My family have 2 farms for mushroom growing. Most of material for mushroom growing is from straw. By this way, we can protect the environment and earn extra living for the family.
Chicken raising also causes air pollution. The Department of Science and Technology of Gwandian District has also a way to deal with this matter, with biomatrices invented to prevent the pollution.
These biomatrices are very useful. They drive mosquitoes away and eliminate the bad smells created by chicken farms. The farms no longer cause pollution to surrounding families. All chicken farms in this village use the biomatrices.
The effectiveness of application of science and technology in reducing the environmental pollution has been proved. How to expand these models and raise awareness among farmers are another effort made by both scientists and farmers themselves in this area.
Now the news, a renowned photography exhibition, Mirai-chan, A Little Girl with Chubby Red Cheeks by Japanese artist Kotori Kawashima, opened in Hanoi on Sunday. It features portraits of Mirai-chan, the daughter of a photographer's friend on Sado Island in the northern central region of Japan. The photos became popular on online social networks. The photo book Mirai-chan has sold over 100,000 copies since its release in March 2011. The photography exhibition has been introduced in Tokyo and Osaka in Japan, as well as Thailand and Taiwan. Vietnam is the third foreign country to host the exhibition. Overseas, Vietnamese celebrated the Mulan Festival in Trúc Lâm Pagoda in Kharkov City, Ukraine last weekend. Attending the ceremony were representatives from Vietnam Embassy in Ukraine and thousands of Buddhists from cities across the country.
The Mulan Festival is a meaningful and important celebration in Vietnam, giving thanks and praise to parents and ancestors. In this atmosphere, the Mulan Festival becomes more meaningful, reflecting the Vietnamese cultural values of filial piety.
Mulan is an occasion to show one's gratefulness to parents. People should be grateful to the nation, parents, and their compatriots.
Temple visitors often receive copies of the Mulan prayer on this occasion. The prayer directs people to the core of the human morality by speaking to the virtues of parents. It expresses harmony between national values and Buddhist philosophy.
I'm really glad that our children are really good and study hard. The Mulan Festival is also a chance for youngsters to express their thanks and pay tribute to their parents. It's a shame that our country doesn't have any festival or holiday about family and show gratitude towards our ancestors. This tradition is very meaningful.
Many Vietnamese youngsters living in Ukraine attended the ceremony.
I know that Mulan is a time to express devotion to our parents, so I come here to pray for good health and luck for my whole family.
People with living mothers wear the red roses. Those with deceased mothers wear white roses. The rose is the symbol of love and sharing among parents and their children, regardless of social background.
Now time for a check on some online news about Vietnam.
We begin Vietnam Online today with news from Voice of America. McDonald's is the latest global brand to announce it will open stores in Vietnam, an Asian country increasingly drawing the attention of American chain stores. It shows that Vietnam's business climate is still attractive despite economic difficulties. This year alone, Starbucks opened its first 2 stores, and McDonald's recently announced it would open a store early next year. Experts commented that the economy is healthy and the political situation is quite stable. Those are 2 important characteristics. These new brands have started off in the country's biggest metropolis, Ho Chi Minh City. According to American Navy News, U.S. Navy medical personnel has implemented a plan in Hanoi, Vietnam, during August to work alongside Vietnamese doctors to enhance rehabilitation for burn victims. This is phase 2 of the Interventional Burn Management Subject Matter Expert Exchange. The team's 4 members will help expand treatment capability at the National Institute of Burns in Hanoi, bringing medical supplies and performing cutting-edge laser and surgical care to improve the quality of life for patients with debilitating scars and scar contractures. Last year, American medical experts performed similar treatments in Vietnam as part of the Pacific Partnership 2012. This was the 4th time in 5 years the annual Pacific Partnership missions has visited Vietnam to conduct humanitarian civic assistance missions. Topics reports that Vietnamese tourism and foreign relations authorities are set to work with their counterparts from Thailand and Cambodia to introduce a single visa for tourists to the 3 countries. According to the Vietnam National Administration of Tourism, Thailand and Cambodia get a large numbers of tourists are close to Vietnam and already have a common visa for tourists. The 2 countries signed an agreement last year to allow tourists from 35 countries and regions including Europe, Australia, the US, Hong Kong, Japan, China, and South Korea to visit both on a single visa. Southeast Asian countries have also planned to have a common visa for the Association Southeast Asian Nation, or ASEAN.
Tech in Asia has the first figure for Vietnam online. Recent research shows that Vietnam is the most active internet population in Southeast Asia. In just 1 year, Vietnam has added an extra 2 million monthly users. That brings the total monthly users to about 16.1 million. That's about half of the total 36 million internet users in Vietnam. According to Comscore's report, more than 74% of the 16.1 million active web population in Vietnam is under 35. Vietnam's paper exports in the first 7 months of this year rose both in volume and value. Banama reported that about 94,000 tons of paper was exported during the period, earning $618 million, a year-on-year increase of 22.8% in volume and 17.7% in value. Pepper is one of few farming products to see a surge in export value during the past months, thanks to increasing pepper prices reaching $6,400 per ton, about $850 to $950 higher than the prices earlier this year. VOV, the Voice of Vietnam, has the final figure. The Vietnam Economic Times has announced its 14 Guy Awards will be held at Vinpearl Luxury Da Nang on August the 22nd. The Guy will recognize 124 outstanding travel businesses chosen by its editorial board and reader votes as the winners of the 2012-2013 Guy Awards. The winners were selected according to criteria like product and service quality, environmental consciousness, and civic and community mindedness.
After Vietnam Online, as usual, is our updated weather forecast. And the weather forecast has wrapped up our news bulletin at this hour. You can always go to our official website, VTV4.vn, to rewatch our programs. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye for now from Hanoi.